For
Cool.
joining me this morning. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Yourself?
I'm even better, getting a Slack back from you that says, "Oh, I have to do work," after you being one of the primary people who, over the course of the past number of years, has been pushing me to start reading scripts. And this is the thing that's finally gotten me into reading the script. So, anyhow, so there you go. Now, yes, you get to do
Shocking.
work and you get to do scripts. What have you thought about the whole scripting thing? What do you think of this show that we're starting and kind of getting out there into the marketplace and getting out into the world?
Hold on 1 second. I got to pause audio on the video. I've got YouTube up. Give me a second.
Okay. As you know, this makes great for live shows. Yeah. Well, while Craig gets his tech going, I'm going to go do the same thing. We do this every
Finally.
Monday through Thursday at 6 o'clock in the morning Arizona time. And since we don't change our times this time of year, that means it's 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern. Brent is out for the next couple of days, so Craig is standing in today. We'll see if we can get Wendy to stand in tomorrow and keep this thing going as a two-person show rather than me doing one giant monologue. So Craig, what do you think? So you've seen me kind of evolve to the person who has absolutely zero interest reading a script, won't read a script, to now I've been reading a script only in this context for the last couple of weeks now. What would you say about the evolution?
So it feels like it's painful to you, and I know that.
Painful.
I know that anyway. But I also think it's necessity. I mean, when you talk about something like this where you want to, and I'm not talking about reading scripts. I think you and I have always discussed scripts in general, and I didn't mean necessarily reading a script like we're going to do today and you and Brent do. I meant more of as a script, as a guide, because I don't, going back to, what I do in the past and what I've done in the past. I've had 3 podcasts at this point, and those podcasts ended up being very scripted from the start. Even when it was just me and my brother, I actually sent him a script of kind of the things we wanted to flow the talk to. So I think it's a nice evolution to see you do that. This script is a little foreign, but it works. So
what do you mean? What do you mean it's a little foreign?
Again, you're talking about something that's very niche. You're talking about AI in learning and development and the news, and you're kind of combining 3 things that are very unique together when you're doing a script. So it's not something that you're writing because you have it's a hobby or something behind the scenes that you do as fun. This is kind of you spreading the news on L&D and stuff. So it's a little bit different.
It is this. I mean, it's been fun. It's kind of interesting. It's a challenge. It's one of those things to kind of figure out, like where do I keep my eyes while I'm reading? How do I make sure that it looks relatively natural? The challenge that I'm running into now is I've moved my microphone around. So like, rather than having my boom mic coming from my right across the screen, it now comes from my left across the screen, which changes the way that eye contact starts working and doing all of that kind of stuff. So there's just these, with that, what I should end up doing, and I'm sure Craig's really going to like this, is I flip us this way. So now I start looking at this way. If I'm looking,
that doesn't bother me.
This doesn't bother you. Yeah. So it bothers you. It bothers you when it's Brent and I, or we're on opposite sides. I don't. That's what I remember from the feedback.
So, hey, let's actually dig into that really quick. So a lot of the things I learned from both podcasting and from doing stuff with you and Brent and things in the past is it's hard to do because you mentally want to do it, but I hide the video. I take the video and I put it behind something, or I minimize it. And if I'm got a script, I put the script as close to the top of the screen as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Having video makes you look at the video. Whether you look at yourself or whether you look at the person on the video, it's going to be away from the camera. Yeah. So I had to retrain myself to not want to look at myself and look at the other person on the camera. So that's hard.
Yeah. So what I do, the way that I've got it set up because you'll look at, because I know this through our conversations and through doing this for a bit now, is I have my camera right above where the video is, and it's close enough that with the zoom it's really hard to tell. Like if you're paying attention, you can tell that I'm not looking right down the barrel of the camera. This is now I'm actually looking at the barrel of the camera. If I look right here, I'm now looking at the video, and there's just a subtle difference. And I'll go back and watch the tape and see how much of a difference it is. And do I need to raise my computer, or do I need to lower my camera, or do all of those kind of things? One of the big challenges I run into, especially with this with the setup that I have with the glass whiteboard, is the reflection off of the lighting reflection off of the whiteboard. And I've got two relatively large, let's call them 24-inch diameter, newer, um, what do they call it? Diffusers, the things that sit
Yep.
on the end of a Bowen's light, right? So
Mhm.
that help to kind of, one's 24 inches and one's 30 inches, that help spread the light a bit. But each of those create this reflection. And if I zoom out, it looks like I live on Tatooine, because I've got two suns
Two
just kind of
sons.
hanging out there for me. But anyhow, it's one of the things that's been cool about doing the show each day is just kind of pressure testing a couple of different things, which are, number one, going live every morning at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, depending on your time zone, or 6 o'clock for us locally. Testing what happens when we go from multiple distribution channels to a single distribution channel, which is the kind of the agitation cycle that we're going through right now, which is, this is going through one I turned it live on X just because I'm doing it through Restream today. Brent typically will do it through Ecamm, and that's why the production has changed. And there's been more production. I'd call production value to the way the show is set up, with the way that the imaging is up there, and some of the things he's able to do. But he likes messing around with that kind of stuff. I just like messing around with people. We create a good balance as we go through it. So, Craig, thanks for doing it today. You get to read today, so you get to do this fun
Yay.
thing that I have been doing, and that you've pushed me to do. And I will play the role of producer here a little bit in the background
So
and see
am
what
I
we can
am
do.
I
Oh, Craig's putting his
am I
hand up. You don't have
am
to
I
put your hand up.
actually am I actually Sam, or am I still Craig just reading Sam?
You're Craig reading Sam.
Okay.
You're
So
Craig
when I
reading.
say that I am Sam, I'm not I am Sam, I am Craig. All right.
You can
Got
do
it.
you.
Uh-huh.
Here's the thing, Craig. This is your world. You be you. You do whatever.
No.
You do whatever as we go through it, and
Scripts are
then
there
we'll
for a
kind of.
reason.
So I've not read, and this again, just a little bit more behind the scenes. I don't read the script until I read the script live, and I do it a little bit intentionally. One, I
Baby
want to get.
steps.
What's that?
Baby steps. We'll get you there.
Well, so like, what's kind of funny. So one of the things that you had highlighted is you script out things that are in your domain expertise, right?
Yes.
So you would script out in your domain expertise. I have no interest in scripting out in my domain expertise, even though I've gotten feedback that, hey, it might help people because the content will be tighter. Part This evolution of technology in the last couple of months and even weeks makes me lean even further into that. And the reason that that's the case is because, if you haven't done this, go out there and do it. Don't do it right now. Do it a little bit later today. Turn on go to another YouTube channel. Go to your favorite YouTube channel. Go to the Catalyst Acts YouTube channel. Go to whatever one that you enjoy watching, and click the little Gemini button under the video, and that's the ask button. And not a lot of I'm surprised at the number of people who have no idea that this thing exists. It's shocking, and maybe I just observe a lot of stuff and Cliff Clavin kind of thing. I keep a lot of knowledge in here, and I see a lot of things that are out there. But there's this button that you click on the ask button, and one of the cool things that's going to happen is it will prompt you with a couple of different questions. Would you like me to summarize this thing? Would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do that? There's usually 2 to 3 options. You can go and put your own question, start with the summarize, and you will be shocked at what this thing does very quickly. And then from there, you can go in and ask your own questions in the context of what is interesting to you relative to the thing that you want to get without even watching the video. And then you can determine, do I want to watch the video?
So you're
Which
saying
part of the
AI
video
is
do I
really
want?
cool then? Is that what you're saying?
I am so stoked to be living at this time in this place with this kind of technology that, yeah, I think it's really, really cool.
I,
And
I
I
am. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I definitely agree with your statement, and it's just I think it's moving really fast. Like the things
Sure.
that you can do with AI have exponentially grown over just the last couple of years.
Yep.
I mean, just yesterday afternoon when I got done working, I basically built an app. I had ChatGPT write me HTML, CSS, and JS code to run and to put into CodePen, and basically built an app for something that I wanted to build years ago. And I tried building this years ago and building it by hand with an authoring tool, and it was just miserable. And it literally took me an hour to narrow something down to have something visually output exactly the way I wanted it to work, and it functioned exactly the way I wanted it to do. So it's crazy where AI is going at this point.
It is shared this with a couple of or I've shared this on the show a couple of different times and kind of working through it. But I picked up a new machine.
Yeah, new Apple.
So now I've got my new MacBook Pro. This is my old MacBook Pro, which has got some stickers on there that Craig helped design.
I did.
If you want these stickers, go to findmycatalyst.com, register, and then we'll get connected up and we'll help you get a couple of those. But leadership, culture, revenue, execution. Anyhow, this laptop is going to move to another member of my team. That laptop that they are using, which is an old 2020 M1 MacBook Pro. So base model 2020 M1 MacBook Pro, so Apple Silicon still, is going to be used for our first local agent. And I'm being very conscious about what I call this thing that we're going to build, because I don't know that I think it's really going to be a group of nested agents doing things together as a team, doing something on that machine to help me fire myself from a job that I do in the business. And the job that I'm firing myself from is podcast post-production. So what I wanted to do, what'd you say?
I said, "Ooh, that's quite interesting."
What's interesting
Of
about
all
it?
the things, of all the things that you would take out of it, I think that you work really hard putting things together. And again, I'm kind of going back to, me
Yeah,
having a podcast and putting a podcast together
yeah,
and doing the post production and everything. And I
sure.
tried to do as much as I possibly could in pre production and recording so I didn't have to do that. So, but that what I felt was most important was that I did that second look of the things that was in there. So handing that over to somebody else would make me nervous.
So and I've shared the story a couple of different times, and any time that I share a story, it's either something I've done with somebody else, or something I saw someone do. It is, um, or it's some known, nonfiction history kind of thing. It's a perspective on that thing. It's not. It's experience is experience, and the stories, the experiences you have in context or what help form those stories. The story, one of the stories I've shared is the evolution that we did around podcast show notes. So we would outsource all of that work to somebody and paid a decent amount of money each time to do it. And we're happy to pay that when we were doing it. Then we're like, oh, we can take that inside and do it a little bit differently. And then I started doing the show notes, and it would delay the time between when a recording would happen and when the
Yeah.
show notes would actually go live. So there'd be this really big gap. And then Jen started doing the podcast show notes. Well, I'd walk by her desk every once in a while she was doing podcast show notes, and podcasts would be going around and she'd be doing something else while doing the show notes. So she's not really paying attention to the show notes, and the show notes started to deteriorate. But I didn't want to take that back on. And so then there were some AI tools that started Rev was one of the big ones back then that would allow you to take your content, put it up into the system, and then let it run through its thing, and then would give you these outputs. And there were a couple of other one. Cap Show was another one that was out there, and we would use these. And I'm very big on testing new technology to see how it can help me do other things that I want to do, or help me do the thing I want to do better, whatever. So enablement technology. Anyhow, long story, a little bit longer. Camtasia launched Audiate inside its TechSmiths launched Audiate with inside its text suite, which is what we used to do editing of audio and video. I was able to get full transcripts. I was able to take those transcripts, label them, load them up into ChatGPT, created a show note GPT. And in the last 2 years, I've not handwritten show notes for any of the content that we published out there. Now, we're still behind on getting podcast episodes out because I'm still the human in the loop that has to do some things. And the human in the loop thing that I'm doing is some of that editing. And right now, really, the editing is pushing buttons. So I have a process that is very defined. Record, take the raw stuff, throw it into Descript. Click on this little studio sound button or thing. It goes through, cleans up the audio on both sides, take the export out of it, drop it into Camtasia, open it up in Audiate, remove hesitations. If there's a lot of hesitations that are in there, depends on who I've got on the podcast and me, kind of where I'm at with the kind of the questions I'll ask. But and there we go, hesitation. So I'll clean up the hesitations, and in some instances, I will clean up the space. So if there's more time, let's say I ask a question and someone doesn't respond with, Mike, that's a really good question. While they think through their answer, they pause and reflect for a little bit. And then we get 2 or 3 seconds of pause. That is okay live. It's not great in a recorded environment or post-production environment. Anyway, so I do that stuff in Audiate. I also have specific language that I use to clip different things out. I'll say things like, this piece will come out. That's my first clip. And then we'll pick things back up here. That's my second one. So I know where those pieces are, and I know where to pull those out. Anyhow, I've got the process dialed in. All of those are simple individual nodes in the process that I believe I can take a bunch of agents and have them do those things where each one does something in a specific order. And what I want to do is I want to test it and see if I can. And if I can, in that kind of environment where I know the process and everything's dialed in, and it doesn't significantly impact the business, right? So I can go in there and I can say, oh, okay, now I can build anything. And that's part of this build process. And I want to figure out where the breakdowns are and how I can work together with the tools to go in and build this thing out. And I'll share that as we go through in this show in the morning. We'll do a couple little updates on how that's coming along. And I don't know if it's going to work, but that's the beauty of testing is you go out there, you test some things. Everybody will tell you how you can do it or how you can't do it or what's going to be the problem or whatever. I want to get my hands on it, break some stuff, see what happens. And I've already been working in the background with the combination of Claude and ChatGPT to do some of this, to say, all right, what are the tools that I need? ChatGPT doesn't believe that I can do this. Claude believes that it can happen, at least in those two separate instances. So anyway, that's it was a long story, but that's what's going on in the background. You go and you do the work, and then you figure out, okay, now how can I transfer that experience and that knowledge into another context, and then help expand in another area, which is the whole learn, think, act model.
Training is one of the big things.
Training is one of the big things. Training from what perspective?
Well, I think when you look at AI and when you look at it turning something over to that being a process, especially when you're talking about turning an entire process over, I think a lot of people get discouraged by, hey, I plugged it in and it didn't work or didn't spit it back. I think you and Brent have actually talked about this with pictures and songs and stuff like that. And unless you have that mindset that you need to train something to do it, it's just like, yes, it's AI. Yes, it's going to be able to do that process behind the scenes without you touching it. But unless you train that to do that the way you want, it's still not going to do it right. It's just like anybody else. You have to train them to do a job. So yeah, don't get discouraged.
Be patient, right?
Yeah,
As you train things, you got to be patient. As you're training something else, be really, really patient. As you're learning something, be patient with yourself, right? Like those are the kind of those are part of the thing. And depending on the context, patience is not my strength. So
no comment.
Yeah. Anyhow, all right. Well, hey, we are warmed up and
Yes,
ready
I
to
am warmed
go.
up.
Do you have your script in front of you?
I do. It is just below the camera, just like we talked.
Perfect. All right. You get to be
Sam.
I am
Craig.
Alex, and we are ready to go. So good morning, workforce warriors. I am Alex. Excuse me, I am Mike. There we go. I made a mistake already.
And I'm Craig. I just spent 3 hours in a metaverse team building exercise. It was just me and a floating taco named Gary.
Professionalism, Craig. We have a show to run. It is March 18th, and the L&D world is moving faster than an intern on their third Red Bull.
Yeah, let's get to the news then before my brain to text interface crashes.
Our breaking news today, let me click this thing. So one of the things you'll notice as we do this is Brent really likes the production stuff, not as much on my end. So this is going to be a push for me as we go through this. But our breaking news today, the Josh Bersin company has officially launched Galileo Mars. I have the wrong image up. Dang. I'm going to get fired. Has officially launched Galileo Mars. This isn't just another ask me question chatbot. This is a full-blown AI agent capable of intelligent workflows. We are talking about an AI that doesn't just tell you the HR policy, it starts the process.
Yeah, it's basically like having a tiny digital Josh Bersin living in your laptop, but it never asks you for a coffee break or complains about the office temperature. Strange.
For L&D, this is the shift from content native to agent native. We aren't just building courses anymore. We are building capabilities that AI agents execute. If your learning data isn't clean, Galileo Mars is going to have a very short trip.
So have you played with it yet? Have you played with Galileo Mars yet?
I have not. Have you?
I've not. I didn't actually know about it till this morning, which is why I listen to you guys give the news so I can learn this kind of stuff. So no, I haven't, but it's definitely going to be on my list. But it sounds more like it doesn't sound like a traditional AI from what I haven't read the actual article yet, but just based off of what they said, it sounds more like what does it say? It's clean up. It's more of a cleaning AI. Did you happen to read the article, or
I didn't read the article either? Yeah.
Can we post that in Slack?
Here's the thing. Here's what I want to show off, only because it's again, just love what is happening with AI and with the capability and the speed at which we're able to do this kind of stuff. But here is the image that Gemini put together for Galileo Mars. How you like that?
I mean, okay.
I mean, a little Bersin rocket ship kind of. I mean, it could be a little bit further away from all the people.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my worry about AI in general. But yeah, yeah. No, that's actually a pretty good image. I mean, again, you're talking about something that. Is this something that you've also trained to give you the image that you want? Okay.
No.
So you just flat went in there and did it?
Yeah, I gave it the and Craig, you've got a copy of the script as it goes all the way through. It says, here's what the visuals are. And if you're interested in seeing this stuff, see some of the behind the scene, check out the Slack channel. You can go to live with brentandmike.com. Register there, and then we'll give you access to the Slack channel, and you can continue the conversation through. So, no, I dropped this into Gemini separately. It is not. The images are different than the ones that Brent is getting. So I think Brent has done some stuff on his side to do it. Typically, when I'm using Nano Banana to create images, those images are more kind of like animations, cartoonish, comic book ish type things, which is very different than this kind of an output. All right, we ready to go back? So no, I haven't tested it and I am interested in it. And I think Josh Burson and the team have provided a master class to all of us around how research followed by publication supports business or product launch.
So you obviously know Burson better than I do. Give me like a 30-second overview of who he is.
Yeah, so I met him back when he was, I forget if he had already started Burson and Associates or at that point in time or not, but it was back when I was at SmartForce, and it was at a perspectives conference where he was speaking at the conference. And Josh would come in, he was a thought leader in this space way back then. And when I say way back then, we're talking 2003, 2002, 2003 timeframe, because 2003 is when Skillsoft acquired us. Merger of equals back then is what it was called. It was an acquisition. Small fish eating the big fish. SmartForce was the big fish at the time. Josh has been very active in this space. What I would say about him is his perspective and his opinions are well respected in this space. He's well known in this space. He does very, very good, deep work when it comes to pulling together research. And he's got a team of people who have left him after he's Burson and Associates and have started out their own research groups. Red Thread is one of the other research groups that's out there. So if you're interested in this space and you want to look at different perspectives and different things through a different lens, take a look at both Burson and Red Thread. I think of him as a person who goes out into the market, pulls information together, then takes that information together and then shares his point of view relative to the information that was pulled together. So that's how I would describe him. He's been around for a long time. He was way back when, I think he was a VP of sales at Siebel, which was a CRM before it was the CRM that I used before moving over to Salesforce. But yeah, he's been around a long time.
So we're moving to tech news then, right? That's where we're going next.
All right. So let's pull up the bots. And
yeah, I'll wait till you get the good tech news. Okay. So in tech trends, new study from Northern Kentucky University just dropped a bombshell. Frequent AI users are earning 28% more annually than their non-AI using peers. We're talking 67,000 versus 52,000.
Wait, I can get a 28% raise just by talking to a bot?
Oh, hold on. You have to be good at it. Wow, Singer. You have to be good at it, Alex or Mike, depending on who we're talking about. Why it matters. This is the AI dividend. As an L&D pro, our job is just no longer upskilling, it's wealth distribution. We don't teach other people how to use their tools effectively. We literally leaving them behind in a lower tax bracket. Ouch. So wow.
So this is a good one. What do you think of this?
As we talked before we went live, I actually read through the script a couple of times to kind of get familiar with it myself. And when I hit this one, it went, first off, I'm always a skeptic of numbers. I'm always a skeptic of people putting numbers and things on news stories. Yeah. So for me, if that's the only contributor in that change or that difference in what they're earning, great. Then that's a really good thing to show off. Yeah. I feel like for me, I think that knowledge and intelligence and acumen and all those things that tie into being a good person in a business, being a high level manager, being a CEO, being a COO, stuff like that, comes with that level of experimentation and knowledge. And I think that the people that are adopting AI are already in that knowledge pool anyway. So I don't know if this is just a side product of that. That when you look at those numbers based off of who those people are in an industry and who those people are in, a company or a department, learning development, HR, whatever. I think
Yeah.
the people that are adopting AI are the people that are just doing it because that's what they've done their whole lives. They're intelligent people. They're seekers. They're looking for the next best thing. They're looking for something that can help them do their job better. So I don't know if that split or that separation of payment or what they make is just a result of kind of what's already there anyways. Is you're just tying something else to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Personally.
Correlation is not causation.
Right. Exactly. 100%.
Right. Yeah. So and I had the wrong image up again. Getting fired as the producer, or as the wetware version of the producer, and this was the image that Gemini came up with for that specific news story. I think the one of the things I like most about that news story is it highlights the importance and the role that we can play as leaders to help prompt or nudge the other humans around us to start using the technology, and not be if you don't use something, it can be scary. So I'll give you an example. I have never ridden a motorcycle. There are a couple of reasons why I probably won't ride a motorcycle. I have a really hard time throttling down, and
coming up to a stop.
Coming to a stop. It's like pushing things to whatever the limit is and going,
bringing it back from that limit is what you're saying.
And it's something I know about me. Now I've ridden and I've driven snowmobiles, and those are an absolute blast. Now again, different kind of vehicle. Have ridden on jet skis, again, blast, different kind of vehicle. So there are things that once you experience, though, you can start to say, oh, okay, I feel pretty comfortable with what the limit is on this thing, or I don't know what the limit is. But when you don't experience it and you've never done it before, it's hard to determine whether or not
the top end is
where you can adjust. So there can be a bit of a fear of before doing something. You think about any time that you've gone to maybe like a rock climbing gym and you get up really high, or you get on a ladder and you get up really high. There's a difference between that first rung and the 10th rung.
So do you have your cup ready? Because I'm gonna have you drink a drink here. So what you're saying to me is you have a need for speed.
There you go. Thank you, Craig. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, see, you fit here. So it's living my life a quarter mile at a time.
Wow. So let me capitalize on that, because that you made a really good point.
Shocking.
I think that I know. I think though that this, you're right. The story kind of says, hey, if you're afraid of it, this is the advantages you can get.
Yeah.
And sometimes in life that works for people that are seeing something and are fearful of it. You mentioned that people are kind of fearful of AI at some points, and to get over that hump, they're trying to push things at it. But I think that sometimes the fear goes so long that it almost makes you angry or upset at the people that are using it proficiently.
Okay.
That it goes past a point. And it kind of plays off a little bit what you were saying about knowing where the top end is, or knowing, how to get to the top end. Basically, once you get into it, it's really, you realize that it's something, it's an advantage. It's something that helps you. It basically guides you in the things you need to do and helps you do things more efficiently. But I think, and I've had this experience myself, to be honest with you, I've been on the outside of something that I've kind of admired and seen people be happy with and have fun with. But if I wait too long to experience that, if I wait too long to jump in and try it out for myself, I start to resent those people, because I see that they're happy. I see that they're doing things better in their job. I see that they're doing better things in their life, and I start resenting those people. And that even pushes me further away. So even stories like this wouldn't do that. So sorry, you said that and it kind of clicked in my head.
It's so think about it. This is it's really it's how we met.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Basically.
we met through a community of people who were that Brent and Luis built up. We met through a community of people that where the focus was, hey, how do we help people do the things
Not be
they want to
scared.
do better out
Yeah.
in the workplace? And this is the Learning and Development Community, TLDC.
Yes.
And so the people who are drawn into certain roles, a librarian, uh, academic, teacher, professor, drawn into certain roles, a number of them are drawn into the role because they want to help build the future. They aren't the one, they don't want to be the doer who's doing the thing. They want to build the people who will do and will build the thing. And way back in the day, Craig has less hair than I do. My hair is gray and getting grayer by the day. It is back in the day when you use the word enablement, it had a lot of negative connotations. And one of the things I spoke about at that conference, the one in Phoenix, was that learning and development's evolution will be to a role that I called organization enablement back then. And this was at TLDC 18.
Yeah.
18 or 19. Anyhow, and the Tammy Preble, we mentioned this before, like this was back when she was with Discount Tire. She and others, you thought I like took a big old crap in the middle of the room and said the world is over, and they're like, we aren't going to be salespeople. And that was that was just me not communicating the concept well to the group. It was also me not creating the right bridge, which was we would go from sales enablement to revenue enablement to then buyer enablement to then organization enablement, which is what I think is happening. And there's kind of an interesting thing Josh has highlighted. The word he likes to use is dynamic enablement. I like to think that one of the reasons why he didn't use organization enablement is because there's some dude with a black t-shirt on this thing that owns organizationenablement.com. And if you go to that website, it drops you into one of the Catalyst sites.
Yeah.
But enablement is a good thing. You enable people to do the things they want to do better and faster. The cool thing about emerging tech that does this is it helps that stuff happen a lot faster. And there will be an adoption curve. So there was an adoption curve around e-learning. There was an adoption curve around MOOCs, massive open online courses. There's all of these adoption curves that happen when you start to leverage the technology.
Keywords.
What's that?
Gamification, all the keywords that you want to throw out there, all the little buzzwords.
So we've got all these different things that we do, and there's emerging technology that enables this stuff to happen. And then there's things, we poke fun at AICC and SCORM and XAPI and a number of the different other technical terms that are used. A lot of the technical terms are used out there because we also understand it needs to be measured. Someone wants to be able to look at a dashboard that says this happened more or less, then this happened and that happened more or less. So there's a very interesting niche that's out here that continues to evolve, and it's one that I've kind of found myself in, which is this emerging enablement technology. So emerging tech that enables humans to do better human things, whether we're talking about the emerging technology around cybersecurity, or we're talking about emerging technology around AR, VR, or AI, ML, or whatever. When you use technology to help the world move faster, help the humans do things better, some really good things can happen. Now, some bad things can happen too in the process, and some people can get lost in the process. But this is why I'm super optimistic about the technology and the tools that are happening, because it's another set of resources. I mean, imagine, we've talked about it before, imagine having to go to the room that had the encyclopedia to go stand on put your knees up on the countertop to go reach up to the highest level and pull down one of those books and not pull down the rest of them. There was some risk associated with it.
So I think that and I'm going to throw you a softball here. I think that ties in basically to exactly what you were talking about with your computer you're setting up. You're
Yeah,
setting up agents behind the scene to do stuff. But again, that's your that's who you are. That's what's
yeah,
worked in your DNA is you're the type of person that goes out and does that. So that's the only thing I was going for with that was I think that you're right. I think there's, ways of pushing people into things and ways of stepping people slowly into things. But if you wait too long to step them into those things, you're going to end up with them just pushing it away. They're going to see it. They're going to start resenting and stuff like that. But if you adopting those things, and how do you pass that on to people? Like, how do you pass that hunger, that need on to people to do that, especially when you want to get, with the time frame moving so quickly of how quick things evolve nowadays, you almost got to get people on board pretty quick and get your agents, together.
yeah. So the way that I do it is I go out there and I try to figure this stuff out, and I just kind of go through it and say, okay, well, how can I use it? How can I really use it? Not
Yeah.
the fear mongering type stuff around. If you don't use it, it's going to take your job, or if you don't use
Yeah.
it, you're not going to make as much money, or if you don't, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, and that makes people think, well, okay, well, now I got to go use it, and then they go try it. It doesn't really work out for them, and then they're like, oh, maybe I'm just not worthy to use this thing. And wow, how did everybody else figure it out, but I can't figure it out? Their brains must just work differently and all that other kind of stuff. And my view on that, and I'm going to curse now just because we're here, it's like, go fuck yourself. And the reason why I say it that way is because if you present it like you're the wizard beyond the curtain and have access to this whole thing that nobody else gets access to, then you're not helping the other
Yeah.
people kind of come along with you. I won't talk about things that I have not done
Yeah.
or that I'm not doing. And when I talk about those things, if someone asks me a question around, well, what happened with this, or how did you get past this? I can actually show them what happened and how it worked.
My
I'm not
mistakes.
limited to what I wrote on a blog post or my AI tool wrote for me on a blog post or put into a book on my behalf. So that's one part is you find the people who are going to push the limits, the ones who are going to go west. They're going to go work on the frontier. They're going to go push out there and kind of figure that stuff out. And then, as a person who goes and does that, it's very important for you to come back in and then help share with people part of that journey. So the way that I help bridge the gap for them between them and that journey is I'll do something like, so what are you interested in? And I know that you're interested in music, Craig, and you're interested in Star Wars. You're also interested in specifically in the music side, playing guitar. So there are different things that you do, and you're very creative. So I would say things like, okay, well, what's something that might take you a long time in your creative process, and that if you could shrink it up, it might completely change the way that you work, right? And then you would share a couple of different things with me, and I'd listen. And that's the part of the thing is you can't just ask the question and then have the other person run with it. You ask the question and then you listen, and then you ask the next question, and then the next question, and then the next question. And then what I'm really trying to do is get them to just dip their toe in context. So
Yep.
the first prompt that I put into ChatGPT, first one that I did, and this was back in, it has to be like November of 2022 ish, October or November 2022 ish, because I figured out that hack to be able to get accepted into their thing when it was in their early release kind of piece. But the first question was, I'd like to teach my dog how to sit. Can you help?
Yeah.
And
I remember you talking about this.
and that was it. And that had nothing to do with my business. I didn't really need to teach my dog how to sit. I got a dog. That's a super easy thing to do. It's
Yeah.
successive approximation. It's like there's stages that end up happening as you kind of go through it. And I wanted to see what the tool could do. And it was mind blowing. And I thought,
It is.
holy crap, this is cool. So not everybody's had that experience, but once I know what you are into, like if you're into golf or if you're into whatever the thing you're into outside of work, let's do that because it's not as emotionally connected as those gold chips that are over there on the desk on the left. And once you start to see it, then you can start to say, oh, okay, I can see how this relates to that. Now, not everybody can do that. Some people struggle with, I don't see how this experience relates to this other thing. Well, then you start to walk them through it, and you just kind of you help with we talk about knowledge transfer and skill transfer and all of those other things. Some people don't see how those skills transfer. And the reason why they don't, and this is the danger that I think is out there right now, is people will say the skill that you need to build is you need to be a prompt engineer. And there's a lot that goes into that skill. If you break it down into smaller pieces, it's having a perspective, it's asking questions, it's leveraging some design, it's being comfortable with iteration. So you've got to be okay with feedback. Like, you got to do all of those things. But we say the skill is prompt engineer, and then we show them what we would call a good prompt looks like. And then you say, okay, well, go recreate it. Now, there's a part, when I first started drawing way back when, I drew by tracing. Like, I traced.
Yep. Same.
I traced comic books, like,
same.
Right, like those kind of things. So anyway, so that's how I do it. You go out there, you do it, you test it, you figure it out, you get your experience. Then you come in, you bring it back to others and say, hey, help me understand what you're interested in, and then let's get you comfortable just kind of testing something. Could be even cooking. Cooking is a great example.
But are we insulted then that they feel like in this report that it's money is the thing that's going to get people to do it?
Well, but
that's the goal, the thing they're dangling.
I mean, like, so if you look at motivation, people are intrinsically motivated, and some people are extrinsically motivated, and capital or cash is a really good way to motivate a lot of folks. So I think that's part of it. I joked the other day, I like that whatever, I think it was Claude that was doing it, but the percentages had decimal points. I was like, oh, those feel more real. Like, I also
27.3%.
Yeah, right. Like that kind of stuff. So, I mean, if it helps people feel more comfortable with the idea of, hey, I want to test and what I want to use it, then good. And then the next piece is, some people are going to say, okay, what can I do better with this? And that's even better. And then there are also going to be some people who are going to look at it and be like, okay, it worked or it didn't work, or I don't want to do it again, or whatever. But
so back to those agents, that softball I was trying to hand you before.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, agents.
What about them?
Leading you into the next line that you were supposed to be reading, so we could.
Oh crap! Thank you. Yeah, thanks for bringing us back.
That's one of those good things you talk about with scripts, and you were talking about getting better at doing scripts. Right, so, a lot of it is reading ahead to the.
Here we go. Speaking of agents, and this is where I realized I was using the wrong image a little bit earlier. Speaking of agents, we didn't do this one, right? Yeah. Speaking of agents, ACTO just unleashed 17 specialized AI agents for the life science sector. These agents automate everything from field coaching to compliance certification.
17? I can't even manage 17 browser tabs.
Yeah, this is high stakes L&D in pharma. If your training is wrong, people literally die, or worse, you get a massive fine. Actually, I would say the dying is worse than the massive fine. But
that's a little reversed.
These agents ensure every sales rep is field ready with zero manual grading from the L&D team.
So if you would have said 15 years ago that you were putting 17 people on a specialized group of 17 people on managing field coaching for people, I would have said that's not enough. I would have said, when you're talking about medication and you're talking about big pharma and FDA and stuff, putting 17 people on a problem or making sure that people get their understanding of medicine is out there would not be enough. With 17 AI agents, I feel like it's too much. Is that weird?
Not weird. I think one of the things that I think people have to be really careful about is, and this is language that I've been using more and more and trying to help folks with, but it's look at each agent as it serving a specific purpose. It has a job to be done and nothing more than that job to be done. So 17 individual jobs to be done in that kind of context that can be done at scale and can be monitored and adjusted and learn and all those things. I think it sounds super interesting. I wonder the question I'd ask the group there would be, what is the specific purpose or the job to be done of
of
each
each
agent?
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the word agent is still new enough to where people are, and even me. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I'm head first into this whole AI thing and setting things up through AI and doing things through AI. And I just started scraping the surface on agents and having multiples doing one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But I think that terminology is still new enough to where when I initially looked at this, I'm like 17. That sounds like way too many things that you would need to do for something like that when you're talking about AI.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and although they wouldn't be called agents, the individual GPTs that I've set up for the business
Yeah.
do
Same
all
idea.
have a specific job. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all that agent does. And the you have to use the right agent at the right time in the right context to do the thing. The coolest part about it is each one of them takes the same input,
Right.
but
They're just doing
delivers
something different
different
with it. Yeah.
output. Yeah, and that to me is awesome. Um, all right, in industry specific news, I'm really happy we don't have the music in the background. Sorry, Brown. In industry specific news, AD Banker is now a NASAA approved provider. Investment Advisor represent IAR continuing education. They are promising audit defensibility.
Audit defensibility. That's got to be one of my new favorite phrases. It sounds like a legal superpower.
It is. And here's why it matters. For finance L&D, the nightmare isn't the training, it's proving the training happened when the regulators come knocking. This platform creates a single source of truth. It's compliance as a service. Oh, people are going to run with that one. And every L&D pro in a regulated industry should be drooling.
Hold on. Isn't that just a learning management system? I mean, a learning management system just does that.
I'm telling you, this is why the other producer highlighted earlier this week that the LMS segment is expected to grow at a greater rate than the S&P over the course of the next 7 years.
And honestly, I give a slight bit of insight into what I do. I mean, I actually, train and not sell, but I train and demo Adobe products. And there's been a big shift from a lot of their other products to the learning management system over the last 6 months. So
that's
I'm
kind of
seeing
cool.
that. Yeah, but I'm seeing that again. I was listening back and kind of, looking at what you just said, and I went, "You've just described the learning management system.
Yeah.
They're doing is tracking compliance and giving that compliance a number and spitting that number out for people to see. Why would this be such an industry specific thing that they're pushing it? Like I mean, audit defensibility is exactly what a learning management system was built for."
When the image popped up, I was like, ooh, why did AI add an extra A to NASA? And then I went back in and looked at it. I was like, oh no, this is actually an acronym for something else. So I don't know. I think the cool thing is context. So in this instance, there's a governing body that does X, Y, and Z, and then here's the thing that they're doing to help you do A, B, and C, or X, Y, and Z, or whatever. And here's where the information is going to be. You're back before LMSs. We actually used this really cool tool called Excel to manage this stuff. Or if you were really technical, you had an Access database. And your Access database could do some things. And if it was even before then, you might have used Lotus.
Lotus Notes. Jeez,
so,
you're going way back.
Yeah, and before that, you had a ledger. You had like these little
piece of paper,
ring binder that had this stuff. So
I swear I put that little mark on that piece of paper. No, believe me, I put my initials right next to it. That means that it really happened.
It's awesome. All right, we are ready to get into a little bit of brain science.
Okay. I don't think brain science. Brent and I go back and forth on this, and I know how he feels about it, and I feel a little bit different too. But a neuroscience update from the transmitter. It's official. The hippocampus is a general purpose statistical learning machine. It doesn't just store what happened, it calculates the probability of it happening again.
So my
Nature.
brain is just a giant Excel spreadsheet.
I mean, yes, but it's okay. So why does it matter? Instructional designers stop thinking about storytelling and start thinking about pattern matching. If your training doesn't provide consistent, predictable patterns, the learner's brain literally ignores it as a statistical noise. So interesting that we would bring that up because I've read a couple articles over the last couple of weeks about movies and how movies have really kind of changed their scripts and their writing of these stories that go into movies around the um, uh, personal device watching. So basically, you're watching a movie, but you're still playing on your personal device.
Yeah.
So they've had to rewrite a lot of scripts and rewrite a lot of TV shows and scripts and movies to reiterate facts and reiterate storylines and come back and keep hitting the same thing over and over again because people are only half paying attention. That's
Right.
exactly what this makes me feel like. 100%.
There's a really good Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were both on the Joe Rogan podcast not
Yeah,
that long
I've
ago.
seen it. I've seen some clips from it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they got into part of that. It was like the whole how completely changed the way that they have to do some of the script writing and production, where like in the first 5 minutes, some stuff just has to blow up. Like it used to be the big thing happened at the end.
Attention. Yeah.
And you pull people in, and then and then throughout the thing, you got to remind them. You'll be like, "Oh yeah, and this is Craig, and Craig does this, and whatever." Oh, remember that thing where so you do these throwbacks and these flashbacks.
Yeah,
So,
and they have to kind of tell the story, almost give them the story up front multiple times before they can actually get it. And if you tie that into what they're talking about here, I get that, I understand that, but I would have hoped, especially if you're tying it back to that FDA training thing that where you're talking about making sure that somebody knows something or they're going to die, or worse. What was the worst part? It was, or
you get fined.
Get fined, which is way worse than dying. But if you take it back to that, I don't know if I want my trainers or my people being trained having access to their phones at that point, or warping how I create my training towards that, because I would rather them pay more attention and not warp my training towards what they need.
Well, but so okay, let's take a positive perspective on this one.
Yeah.
Is spaced repetition important when it comes to training?
I mean, it is in everything. It is in everything that you're trying to get something across to someone. I already okay, this kind of goes into a little bit of my history. I've kind of done everything from learning development. I've done development, I've done voiceover work, video editing, storyboarding, everything like that. And one of the things I learned early in the ID world is you do have to reiterate things. You do have to hit things multiple times for them to get it. Right. Especially if you're talking about if you're teaching to a quiz, which used to be the thing, and used to be the thing people hated. You would hit those things that were going to be on the quiz multiple times so you could do that. So I don't think it's anything new.
Yeah.
But I do think that storytelling kind of evolved as being the main thing when you built training. It became the part that you focused on the most, was telling a story and getting people through the story instead of just giving them junk information all at once and making them memorize it. So now it seems like we're kind of pendulum swinging back to pattern matching, but I never let that go in my system. I combine those two to where I'm still telling a story. I'm still keeping you engaged, but I'm also hitting that points once, twice, 3 times throughout the entire training. So yeah.
It's tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them.
Tell them what you told them. Tell them what you told them. Yep.
and just keep, and then do it again, 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 and then figure out different ways to reinforce it as it goes along. I think the thing that jumps out at me when these stories pop up is your disdain for learning styles.
So, I mean, we joke about it, and we do talk about it seriously at times. And I do know that there's a recognition in me that people will accept information better through a different medium. And I do also think that and I have done this also in my training too, to again go back to in my history, is that was one of the things I learned early, and this was years ago when I learned it. So that was a really prevalent thing, was learning styles. So I did learn to try and incorporate as much of that into it as I can.
Yeah.
But I think where I'm more against it is I'm more against the learning styles when they separate them. And I'm kind of against anything when you separate a group of people when it comes to training.
Yeah.
That I would instead build something that appeals to all of those people that have a different way of looking at things in general. And I think one of the biggest things, biggest problems I've got with learning styles is I think they're outdated. Like,
Yeah.
I think that the idea of just sorting it down to visual, text, images, listening, audio is minimal. I think that there's so many different ways of, uh, ADHD, ADD, divergent, neurodivergent, non-neurodivergent. I mean, those things really need to be taken almost more into consideration than just the general, can they see it or do they have to hear it? So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I think my problem with it more is that it's just so compartmentalized, and that forces people into compartmentalizing their training when they build it. So that's my big problem with it. It's out. Everybody knows now.
It's here you go. It's funny. It's funny that we like to talk about diversity in the context of segregation.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, like that to me is just kind of a funny thing to see happen, and we don't even realize that it's happening. It's like, and
Right.
we do it with like open arms. When you go in and you do your leadership training, and it's the first time you get to see everybody kind of sorted and filtered and tagged as colors. Ooh, I'm a yellow. But every once in a while, I'm a blue. And oh, I can't organize around a red, because if I get around a red, watch out, because the
Greens
reds are
and
going to
blues
get
don't
frustrated.
work together.
Yeah, right. Well, and then you put a letter on it.
Yeah.
Or you put a
Yeah.
group of letters around it, or you put a number around it. And
Like, how you got to stop talking about those things, because they're making me nauseous thinking about them, what letter I am and what color I am and all that kind of stuff.
and that's then at some point you're one of those like back in the day, the kids would fold the little piece of paper and you'd kind of open the thing
Yeah.
and do that little kind of thing, and then you kind of figure out, what do you get inside, and then there's a magic 8 ball, and
Yeah.
you don't know, what happens if I wonder if somebody to do the cross, what would it be? It'd be like a multi, I got to think about how you would do the study. But imagine if you had a study that took all of those things, like your true colors, your Enneagram, your Myers-Briggs, and your disc, and all of those, and kind of smushed them all together and showed the correlation of matching across each of those, and what kind of patterns might actually emerge.
I mean, I think there's a tool for that. You could probably just, I think it's called AI. I think if you
Yeah.
just pull up an AI, an agent, and put it into an AI agent, they could probably find that for you. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but there's a
I
thing
have
out there
not
called
tried. I've not
AI.
tried it
So,
yet, but I now I know that I'm going to go play around with that today at some point, where I'm
well,
trying to
and,
let my
and
brain.
you could even go a step further and take all the ones that you are and feed them into, probably Meta is probably the best one for this, but feed it into Meta and have it create an image of you with all of those different the different selections that you've got for who you are.
This could be the new like superhero trend kind of thing. Like you
That
could do
this
that caricature of you.
that this
This could be the thing that runs the L&D.
this is your next hackathon.
Dude, all right. Okay, I got now. What I have to do is I have to remember. I have to remember all of the things. Yeah, like
Don't you
when
have a
I.
parking lot on your whiteboard? Come on, every good whiteboarder has a parking lot, right?
Well, no, I'm talking about remembering, like, so like I know from a Myers-Briggs, it's
Oh,
INTJ,
right. Oh,
and then
yeah,
from like
I'd have to
DISC,
take them again.
it's D C,
Yeah.
and from
Yeah,
so
I would have to
I'm gonna
take
go
them all
through it, and I'm
again.
gonna say, look, these are what my things are. Um,
Oh,
Create
even
an image
better.
of me
Hold on.
representing this.
Even better, have it tell you what you are.
Oh, yeah. So here's Okay.
Have it, because take one of the ones that you've worked with on a regular basis, like I've used ChatGPT the most, and have it tell you what you are based off of the prompts that you've written over the last 2 years. Seriously, tell them, have them tell
I'm
you
doing it
what
right now.
color you are,
What do
in based
you
off of.
think my Myers-Briggs is? That's awesome. So here's this, and I'll show you why it's wrong.
I got to do it too. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll show you. Oh, you know what? I can't share. I won't be able to share in this context. Actually, here we'll figure this out. And I know we've run a little bit long. Thanks for hanging out, folks. We'll get this thing going again tomorrow. The this is what it came up with, and here's why it's wrong. I mean, it nails the core part of it, which is so I will present myself more as an extrovert because of what I do, like the video that's out there and the speaking and the engagement. I'm an introvert. Like that is it's when I go and do that stuff, I have to go back to my room and recover and just kind of like recharge and get around the quiet. So this is I had wanted to be an ENTJ. And it is kind of funny that it does drop in with the ENTP piece, because those are the two that are most kind of like that will people would believe are a little bit alternate. So that's it did a pretty good job. But again, I think these things are like horoscopes.
I do too, but it actually hit me pretty close. Like,
okay.
So again, I know that we talked about this before, but I've actually filled in areas in my settings for my Chat GPT that talks about things that I want, like when you talk about personalization, the personalization area. So I've put custom instructions in there. I put about me's and occupations and more about me's. So I filled all that kind of stuff in. So it kind of pulls some of that from there, because I did actually prompt it by saying, give my Myers-Briggs based on what you know of me from this app, including my notes and prompts. So I actually had to peek into the notes that I had actually put in my setup as well. And it's pretty close. I like INTJ is pretty close to what I run anyways for most of the time. So I don't know. That was what's the colors one called?
It's called True Colors. I wrote in leadership colors. So what I did is I just went back in and reprompted it and just said, okay, now do my Enneagram, do my disc, and do my True Colors. This is fucking awesome. Holy shit. This is so good. Your consistent blind spot across all models, you move faster than most people can process.
I mean, okay, yeah, you're spot on. We got you.
That's awesome.
It's weird because I put colors in it, and it's the exact opposite of what I got when I took the test years ago. But this was 15 years ago, 16 years ago when I took the colors. So it's the exact opposite. It's the color that I didn't deal with well at that point in time. So that's crazy.
This is why, in the context of like pull the string back and me repeat the same things over and over again, and you're seeing me do this more, which is a different version of scripts. So it's going back in and having different quotes that I lean on that are my beats that I can build stories around. There are things that are said, there are things that are heard, and there are things that are remembered, and very rarely are all three of those the same. That addresses the misalignment piece. The way that you solve for it is confirm what was heard. So what did you hear me say? And do it in a way that doesn't get people defensive. There's got to be a lot of trust there. In an instance where you're the one listening or I'm the one listening, I just say, here's what I heard you say. And I validate that. So that addresses the said, heard, remembered. The piece around the people nodding but not executing, this is where you layer in the next piece. Who will do what by when? just fill in the blanks. Craig will do X by tomorrow, right? And that, when we do those things, we can solve for my biggest blind spot, which is this is fascinating. Craig, that was awesome recommendation, and it demonstrates how freaking cool some of these things some of these things are. And I'm gonna have a little bit I'm gonna have a little bit of fun today with this on a post. So, nice
I
work.
find it interesting that like I said, it tagged me as green, which is the opposite of what I was years ago, which was blue
Sure.
at the time. But I think that also goes to show you that when they do those assessment tests, which whether you like them or not, when they do those assessment tests, they're very well rounded into a lot of different areas of your life. I'm actually AI is only taking what it's been fed.
Yeah.
So one of the things it pointed out, because again, I'm blue, I do have a lot more feelings, but one of the reasons it said low for blue is you don't ask for tone adjustments unless they affect clarity, which
Okay.
I do in every other part of my life.
Yeah.
But when I'm working with AI,
yeah,
I don't look for tone adjustments for the most part. Or if I do, I'm structuring it more towards scientific or more towards heavily structured. That's crazy.
It is it is so one of our early customers, and Drew DiAgostino is still involved in the business. Luke Thomas is now doing some work again with the business. It's a company called Crystal Nose, and Crystal Nose, now it's Crystal, but Crystal Nose was all focused on DISC. And the primary focus that they were doing with DISC is they wanted to help people communicate with empathy. And that became a running joke in my household, because I talk about what is empathy, and my family, siblings, spouse, like, why are you even talking about empathy? And I think I'm very empathetic. Now, that doesn't, it's meaning I'm in tune with being able to put myself in the shoes of others and see things from their perspective. It does not mean that I'm sympathetic or that I'm agreeable. Like those three things don't have to be aligned,
Right.
as they go through it. So there's a different way so one of the things that I do to help people accelerate empathy, build quick empathy quickly, is use a tool called 4 Ways of Seeing. And it's, how do I see Craig? How does Craig see me? How do I see myself? How does Craig see himself? And I did this at MOPSA in the keynote, and used animals, kind of pulling into this whole national park thing. How does the wolf see the bear? How does the bear see the wolf? How does the wolf see the wolf? How does the bear see the bear? That kind of a thing. Well, so these are the color pieces in here. So red, power, competitive, results focused; yellow, visionary, enthusiastic. I would say I tend to be more red and blue than yellow, yet my enthusiasm will come out in things that I'm enthusiastic about, which is helping people do the things they want to do better and faster, which is the whole enablement piece. The thing that's super cool about this is, and the reason I brought up Crystal is what Crystal would do is Crystal would scrape LinkedIn to see how you wrote and what your comments looked like and how you presented yourself,
your tone,
to create
your structure,
your DISC profile, and then help people communicate with that person. Now, the cool thing about it is, if I read Craig's DISC profile and then had a meeting with him, and I expected him to behave in a certain way, and then he didn't behave in that certain way, then I can look at it. I could, sales is a thinking process, our original tagline. I could look at this and I could say, okay, something's changed. Either the assessment was wrong, or Craig is just having a bad day. One of those two things.
Or the assessment was right to that narrow view, which is kind of what I was saying about the AI.
Either one of those things could be true, right? But now what I'm doing is I'm doing something. I'm expecting a response. I either get the response or I don't get the response. So then I can use that feedback really quickly to think about, okay, what do I want to do next? Or do I want to keep going because I'm getting that response? Anyway, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn. put cease and desist language out there where you were no longer able to
Scraping.
scrape LinkedIn for that information.
I do know that.
And it completely changed their business. So then they started
Uh-huh.
looking at it and saying, oh, okay, well, now we need people to put things in. So you could copy and paste an email from your boss, drop it in the system and analyze it and say, okay, well, what is this person's communication preference? I am fucking D all the way through.
Yeah.
Like, just give me dots, bullet points, straightforward, all the way through. But at the same point in time, I can get really deep into conversation and lose track of time, like we've lost today, where now it's 10:15, and I know we've got to get back to all the stuff that we've got to get to.
So Alex, Mike, what's that line?
That's the brief for today. Craig, go back to your taco friend.
Gary, say hi. Oh, go forth and train, people. Go forth.
Craig, thank you for doing this. This was awesome.
My pleasure.
Great wrap up there with going in through and just dropping this stuff in there really, really quick. Like the cool part about that is that speed to action. Like I didn't have to put it on my checklist of things to do a little bit later. I could go do it and then ask it the first question and it gives me the thing and then go ask it to do the rest of it. And I'm going to turn this into I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this post today as a result.
Same here.
All right. We will do this again tomorrow. Same kind of thing. I am going to test with going live both on YouTube and X just for a little bit while Brent's out and I can take advantage of the testing and we'll see what happens there. If you know somebody who'd find this useful, please share it with them, point them to live with Brent and Mike.com to join us and be part of the Slack channel and subscribe at Live with Brent and Mike on YouTube. Craig, where can people find out what you're working on?
LinkedIn's probably the best place to do that. I'm actually going to post a couple of those links in the chat because that's what I do behind the scenes is I just post a bunch of links for, you guys to have available to you. LinkedIn's probably the best place to find me at this point. Again, you kind of mentioned that when Meta took over, I kind of got disheartened with a little bit of LinkedIn, but I'm back on it. So I can, do a little bit of that. Or just search my name, put it in quotes because I'm kind of like one of those rare last names that you'll be able to find information on pretty easy. So thanks for having me though, Mike.
Craig is my go-to when it comes to pulling together creative stuff and imaging and stuff that needs to stand the test of time, which includes the logos that you see on findmycatalyst.com, leadership, how we move forward, culture, how we do what we do, revenue, how we fund the ability to do what we do, and execution, how we achieve results. Craig, thanks for being an awesome partner.
My pleasure. Thanks.